Hello everyone and welcome back to CyberTalents webinar. This is Ahmed Musir from CyberTalents technical team. Just a few notes before we start our webinar today about CyberTalents. We are a leading platform to rank students and professionals according to their skills by running a CTF competition. Today we are continuing our series of what is required in cybersecurity job. As a part of our series, today we are talking about what is required to work as a CISO or Chief Information Security Officer. Finally, I'm happy to introduce our presenter, Mr. Bahaa Othman. He was a CISO for 3 organizations with 20 years of experience in different areas of cybersecurity. Hello, Mr. Bahaa, how are you?
Hello, Nusayr, how are you? How's everything?
All is okay.
Okay, great.
Thanks a lot. Please, you have the mic.
Hello everyone. I hope you will enjoy this, let's say, small presentation. I will be very happy if you have any questions or any queries. I will be happy to answer them if I can. So let's start. The first thing I need to start with is that organizations are not the same. They are different in what they do and the way we are doing security for them. There is no standard security controls or security requirements that fits in all organizations. I try to summarize this issue a little bit. So from my experience, organizations will fall into 3 types from the perspective on how we are approaching security for these organizations. The first type is the default organizations or the typical environment. This is the normal organization that let's say all the requirements can fit in this organization. It has users, it has servers, it has critical services. This is the default and typical and well-known setup for environments. There are other special 2 types of environments. The first one is the static environments. These environments need to be secured in a totally different way, a totally different mindset. These organizations are very static. You can't do changes, you can't do updates, you can't install an antivirus. You can take a downtime, for example. Taking a downtime maybe needs a lot of approval and will maybe take a year to take a downtime. So these types of environments are very static. So they need some special kind of security. The third type, which is the type I am working on now, is the dynamic environments. The dynamic environments are very fast environments. There are many changes. It's very hard to apply security controls because the business is very fast. Applications are enrolled every day. Change management is a disaster. There is no change management. Applying the normal controls is very difficult in dynamic environments. And I think many small organizations or startups or fintechs, software houses will fall in this category. So we are thinking of security in a different way based on this type of environment. So who think about security? Who decide what are the approach we should follow to securing this organization? What are the controls required? And as I said, they are not the same. So this one is the coach. I try to make this analogy. Maybe it helps mapping what are we doing to secure an organization? What are the units of security or the specialities? Mapping it to a football team. So the CISO is the coach. The CISO is not doing anything, but thinking about the plan, putting the team together, correlating between inputs between different teams. The CISO is the one responsible to achieve the security objective of the organization. He's the one we will fire if the team lose, or we will give him more salary if the team wins. So the CISO is the one responsible for everything. He's the coach. The first function, and I think it's the most important function in any organization, is the GRC. GRC is for governance, risk, and compliance. This is not common between fresh graduates or young guys. It's a rare function, not many people working in GRC. It's very, very important function in any organization. GRC team is working on putting the rules, the general rules in the organization, the governance, governing the organization, putting the rules, the policies, making risk assessment, doing compliance based on if there is any regulations or any standards we are complying with. This team is like the goalkeeper. Why the goalkeeper? Because this team is the last line of defense. If there is a goal scored in our team, it will be this team should be the last team, should prevent this from happening. This team also has some authority which other members in the team don't have. That's why the goalkeeper can touch the ball with his hands, while the other team players cannot. GRC is like this. They have some more authority to do their job right. Also, goalkeeper is one. It's only one in the team. We don't need too many goalkeepers. We need only one goalkeeper. This is the same in organizations. GRC team, we don't need too many employees that work in GRC, but we need sometimes this one person, one goalkeeper, to be in some senior position. But the number of this team doesn't matter actually. The function matters most. The second team is the team responsible for monitoring and SOC, which are the defenders. This team responsible for detecting threats to the organizations, detecting incidents, and also sometimes preventing these incidents from happening. This is typically what we usually call the SOC team, or in some cases, monitoring, or maybe blue team in some scenarios. The midfielders are the most important actually in this CISO organization. The midfielders are the people responsible for protecting the organization. They are running everywhere. They are the most team that have knowledge in all this team. They need to pass the ball a lot. Actually, they can score goals, they can defend, they can protect. Midfielders are running through the field of the organization all the time. So, and they are the most skilled team from technical perspective. This is the architecture and engineering team. They are the team which is operating security. The last team actually is the team responsible for testing and finding issues. This team actually score the goals for the organizations. They, when you score a goal, you find a bug or a vulnerability, which no one before you discover this vulnerability. So you are scoring a goal for this. These are the most team that are, let's say, well known. But however, this team is not responsible for protection. This team is for testing, scoring goals. Protection is done by the three other teams. This structure actually, in every organization, you will find this structure, maybe with different numbers, maybe one person doing more than one function. But in all cases, these are the functions that are done, that should be done in every organization. Now, who is the CISO? Well, the CISO is this is the top level of security in the organization. So there is no one bigger than the CISO related to security organization. Sometimes it is a C level. Yes, CISO word is for Chief Information Security Officer, but however, in some cases, the CISO is not in the level of a C. He's not a chief, but he's the one responsible for everything, for protecting the organization. So we call it all the time, we call it the CISO. This term reflects the function, not the title, actually. The scope of the CISO actually is different from an organization to another. CISOs are not doing the same thing in every organization. The difference is based on the type of organization, or also based on the objectives that this organization is currently want to do. So sometimes I receive a query from some of the CEO in one of my jobs, and he's telling me currently I'm not interested in investing in security, so I need to do security, okay, but you will have no budget and no team, and you're the CISO, you should handle this challenge, because currently I need to focus on the business, I need to run very fast, I don't have a budget or resources for security. However, I have risks and I need to cover. So the scope is different, the objectives are different, the challenges are different from one organization to another, the maturity is different from one organization to another. So CISO is independent function required by CBE is for the Central Bank of Egypt. What's the meaning of independent? What is independent function? According to central bank or some regulators, there should be in every organization there should be some functions which are independent from the management of the bank or the organization. Which I mean that these titles or these functions should decide based on their own judgment. It should not be affected by the business or the management. So this is what they mean by independent function. So the CISO actually in banks and other regulated industries is very empowered because it is by law it should be independent. It should take the decision he feels that is good for the organization. This is actually applied in Egypt, which is something very mature, and it's also applied in some countries in the region. The main focus of the CISO is nothing but security. He cares about, he don't think he wake up in the morning and think about how to secure the organization. What are the risks? He sleeps with the same thing in mind. His whole life is security. Nothing he should care about except security. So we need also to differentiate between two things. Are you securing your own organization, or you are securing others? You are working in a vendor or a system integrator or a service provider, which is providing security services for others, or you are securing your own organization. CISOs actually, most of the time, they are securing their own organization. They are not responsible for securing others. However, you may find sometimes that there is someone with the title CISO, which is working in a company that is providing services to others. Actually, I see this is not relevant because what are you securing? If you are securing others, then you are providing some security services, specialized services for other organizations. But CISOs normally protecting their own organization. It's not usual to find a CISO, for example, who is securing multiple organizations or doing security for others. This is, I think, it's not relevant for the CISO job. So CISO is focused in his own organization, protecting it from cyber threats and whatever. There is a concept which is called the lines of defense. Actually, this concept, this is a best practice for risk management in any organization. So what are these people saying? That in your organization, you should have multiple lines of defenses. So if one defense fails, then the other defense should take care. These three lines of defenses, actually the first line is the IT. They call the IT the first line of defense. These people are the IT people applying the controls. They are the owners of the risks. They are responsible for performing security, like maybe updates, patching, or other security remediation action. This is the IT. It is the first line of defense. The CISO should be the second line. The second line should review and audit and monitor the first line. He should tell the first line what to do. He should decide what is best for securing the organization. But the CISO shouldn't take this action by his hands or by his team. The first line should perform these actions. And this is required as a best practice for separation of duties, which is a concept in security on how to separate between duties in the organization so that there is no conflict of interest. The third line is the audit. Every organization has an audit function. These audit people auditing the whole organization, auditing the CISO, auditing the IT, auditing all the functions in the organization. This is the last line of defense. They are the most empowered people in any organization. And they have some authority of auditing everyone. This is the audit function.
So before passing to the next point, like you mentioned, CISO should be the second one. That means some organization using a different model, like putting CISO as a first or last one of the defense lines.
Yes. Actually, this is not you will find many models in the market, many models, but this is the best practice, and this is actually some regulators or industries which have regulated industries or have regulators which audits and enforces some rules to be applied in this organization, enforces them to follow this approach, to follow this best practice of having three lines of defense. That's why you hear a lot about the CISO should not be part of IT. The security people should report somewhere else other than the IT. The IT people is doing something, and the security people their actions actually shouldn't. If under IT, maybe IT people have some priorities and related to operation, or we can't apply this now because we have some other priorities. But security people, when security people is separated from IT people, the priorities are balanced between, are we do we want to secure, apply this security control, or we should care about operation. This will affect operation. So there will be some sort of balance between IT and security in this case. So this is the best practice. And actually, I see a lot of organizations are moving towards this model now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, this is the I don't see if you can see this slide or another one. This can you see the slide, the role of the CISO?
Yes, now we are at who is CISO slide. I think it's taking some time to switch between both slides.
Okay. Actually, if you can see this picture, I have two hands actually, not this too many hands. This is an octopus, a spider maybe. So I have only one hand. But this picture shows that CISO is doing many things. He's performing many activities. He has to have many skills, many qualifications in many areas. So the CISO should be the expert in the organizations. People come to the CISO and say, you're the security guy, you're the security reference. So tell us if this is secure or not. Sometimes I face questions from people. I don't think that they ask about, let's say, something related to the cameras. Is this secure? We have some clients want some data from us. Is this secure? So all the time you will be asked questions like, is this secure? Should we do this? Should we not do this? So you need to be all the time. You need to be knowledgeable about your environment, about the technologies, about what's happening. This is to be able to answer all these questions in all these categories. Actually, sometimes I go to meetings which I don't know anything about the subject. They are talking about very specialized technical details related to something, maybe in payment or something. So if I don't have this kind of knowledge, I couldn't answer them at the time they ask me. So my credibility by time will get low. So I need to be knowledgeable. I need to be at least know something about everything. We'll talk about the knowledge areas and the skills of the CISO, but generally, as a CISO, you need to adjust your depth of knowledge. You can't read a whole book, but you need to read the summary and the last maybe two papers in the book. You need to understand what this book is talking about. But if you consume your time in too many reading, you will consume your mind. You'll actually be look like this man with 16 hands actually. So you need to adjust and control yourself. Choose what you read because you read a lot. You need to adjust the depth of the knowledge you will acquire. So these are the CISO areas of responsibility. This is what the CISOs are doing every day. I'll go through these items in brief. Security operations. CISOs are responsible for security operations, how they are performed, what are the day-to-day operations, how can we measure our controls effectiveness. The second item is cyber risk and cyber resistance. This is actually different from the information risk or technology risk. Cyber risk is different. Cyber risk is the risks that the attacks, the threats that could happen to the organization. So the CISO should be aware of this and choose the right controls for the organization. Data loss and fraud prevention. Fraud is one of the subjects that CISOs always are asked about the internal fraud or the fraud that is performed by the customer, maybe. Security architecture, this is also the CISO should be part of when you're architecting a new application or a new system, a new service in the organization. So they come to the CISO and say, okay, what are the controls? How these controls are talking to each other? Which is better, using Windows or Linux? You know, this is a famous interview question, which is more secure, Windows or Linux? This is a tricky question, actually, but CISOs is asked about this question. Should we use Linux in this case? Should we use this control? Or you have other recommendation? Identity and access management. This is also a very important subject, because in an organization you will have many employees and customers. So all these employees and customers are accessing some resources. So you need to manage what are these people accessing, and if they have the right to access these resources or not. This is the domain of identity and access management. It's a huge domain. It has its own tools. Actually, it's a specialty in security access management. Project and program management. CISOs always put plans for the organization, because if you assess an organization and see that there are some gaps, there are maybe, let's say, 10 gaps, 20 gaps, 40 gaps. So I will not be able to perform all these actions together. I need to do priority. I need to have a plan. And I need to manage these small projects until achieving the total security. This is actually called security program, which is the project, the security projects we are doing every year, because this also needs budget, resources. So CISOs manages this. They decide the security program, and that they manage the projects of security all the time. Investigation and forensics. I like to write forensics like this. I don't know why. Investigation and forensics, because many times, actually, in almost every organization I worked for, there is an incident of some employee that is doing something or steals some data, and they come to you and say, okay, this employee should be fired. And you, as a CISO, should tell us, should we fire him or not? So you need to investigate. You need to have an evidence. You need to not to be biased, because your input will have a great impact on others on the organization. So sometimes you are asked to do investigation and forensics for incidents or for internal fraud. Governance. I know young people don't like this word, or maybe don't understand. When I was young too, this word governance was like, what are you talking about? What is governance? I don't understand this word. But actually, reaching a CISO, now I understand. How important is governance. How governance can do a big change. You can make a very, very big change in an organization, in the culture, in the mindset of people, with just few tools of governance, few statements in a policy, or some sort of process you design in this organization which change everything. This is the governance. This is maybe the most domain I like when applying security in an organization, because it has a very, very big impact, and just small tools, they are not directly related to the objective they are intended to, but they are very effective, and they are totally non-technical. There is no technical in governance. Sometimes I call it the soft security. Soft security is the security you are doing, non-technical security. You are doing with papers, policies, processes, building committees to make the decision. It's not a single decision. So there are many governance tools there. This is an important area in CISO actually. Risk assessment, mitigation, and avoidance. Because in CISO also should build his plans based on priorities. So you need to know what are the risks on organization, what are the critical ones, or the medium ones, the low ones, to prioritize his actions. And what are the actions should I do to handle this risk? Should I mitigate it? Should I accept it? Should I do some tolerance? Legal and regulatory compliance. This is one of the skills any CISO should acquire, to know what the laws of the country he's working in. One of my jobs was related to international security, so I had to learn the regulators' requirements in some other countries. So we are applying security in countries based on the regulator of this country. So, and every country has its culture, its language, its regulator. It's different than the other countries. So you need to be aware of your local laws and regulators. Security awareness, we all know this, but the CISO builds the awareness program and decides how we perform awareness for employees. Is it through emails? Is it through videos, posters, or something? Is it through phishing assessment, maybe? Now it's going technical, not only papers and these fancy images, which is the password is admin. Now there is some sort of assessments like phishing assessment, which actually assess if the employee fails a victim to a phishing attack or not. Budget, because budgets are not unlimited. You have limits, so you need to take decisions. How to use this budget. Sometimes it's very limited. Sometimes you may go to open source solutions. Sometimes it is not the suitable thing for some organizations. Sometimes you need to do some effort to convince the management that they should buy this or not. Reporting security status. This is very important because you will be the one who asked about how security is now, how much we are secure. What is the percentage? Sometimes I ask it, what's the percentage? What do you think we are secure of, 90% or 80%? Okay, we all know that there is no 100%. Okay, so how percent we are now insecure? So you need to know or to build something that measures your security. Is it by the number of vulnerabilities? Is it by the number of risks, the criticality of them? There are many KPIs you can build to measure how much you are secure and report this to the top management. This is the core skills of the CISO. Actually, the first one, the business knowledge. This is also something I don't see a lot in fresh grads or juniors. They like to go technical. They don't like to understand the context of the business. What are this organization doing? If you are going and working in an organization and you don't understand how we earn money, what are we doing from business perspective? How do you expect you will secure this organization? The business context of what you are securing is very, very important if you like to be a CISO someday. You need also to have the technical knowledge. Technical knowledge is the IT knowledge, the systems we are securing, or the systems we are securing with. I always like to do this classification. The systems you are securing are the IT systems. You should understand these systems. You should understand what is the network, what are the systems, what are you should understand the trends, the DevOps, the containers, cloud. You need to understand the applications, how the SDLC is working. This all IT systems or technical systems, you need to understand how they are working, because you will ask it after that to secure securing. I'll tell you an example, containers, for example. Let's say if we are adopting the container technology, you will be asked as a CISO, okay, we need to secure, protect these containers. So do you have the tools, the right tools to monitor and protect containers? This is not a machines, these are containers. So these are the systems that we are protecting. The other systems that we use for security, securing other systems. These are the security systems like firewalls, IPS, antivirus, EDR, SIM, you name it. There are almost, I teach a course in ITI which is called security architecture, and I have about 40 category of security products there. There are too many security products and security technologies are there. So you need, as a CISO, you need to understand to some extent what these technologies are doing, what are the trends in security technologies. You need also to have management skills, because you are reporting most of the time to the CEO. So dealing with the CEO is different from dealing with a team leader. You need to have some management skills. You need to know how to represent your ideas to the top management in a non-technical way, how to translate this technical information and controls into business or into risks, something that the management would understand. This is one of the core skills actually for many CISOs. There are some personal skills. Without them, actually, the CISO will struggle. Communication skills, because CISOs are communicating all the time. We are not applying controls by our hands, but we are suggesting controls. We are trying to enforcing controls or convincing others of applying these controls. So we are communicating all the time. We have too many stakeholders. We are communicating with everyone in the organization. So there is maybe, I think our job includes about 80% of communication. The business language, you need to know how to talk to the business, to his language, not your technical language. You can't say that we have an issue in the SIM. This is, they'll tell you what is the SIM. You need to translate your risks, your concerns into some tangible business language. You need to know how to sell security requirements. This is like selling skills or marketing skills. You need to know how to show the value of this control. You need to be patient. Sometimes the young guys, most of the time, don't have this patience of why should I apply this control? Maybe they do some pen test report or something, and there is a finding, and they say, you should apply this to mitigate this finding. Okay, this is not acceptable from business language. You need to translate this technical mitigation requirement for your vulnerability into something the business understands. Maybe it has a cost, maybe it has an impact. Maybe you should find another compensating control that do the same objective other than this control, because applying this control has limitations. Presentation and documentation, because you are doing a lot of presentations, Excel, we are working all the time with Excel sheets and Word documents. So if you don't like working with Office documents, maybe you should consider them. One of the webinars, I was saying that dealing with Office, Excel, and Word and PowerPoint and this stuff is like the running skill for the football play. You can be a very good player, but you can't run. So this, I think this should be the core skills for everyone, not only the CISO, not only the security. The desire to learn, because we should learn all the time. Imagine that I almost consume 2 hours a day of reading something about security or other subject every day. If you don't read for maybe 7 days, you will be far behind what's happening in the world. Why is that? I'll tell you a scenario I faced. When WannaCry, you know, the ransomware, the famous ransomware WannaCry. When it happened, it was over all the news. So I received a call at 1 a.m. from the CEO, which is saying, "Are we covered from this risk?" So imagine that I'm not aware that there is nothing called WannaCry, which is propagating everywhere, and all people are talking about this. And it's exploiting some sort of vulnerability. How could I answer the CEO? I couldn't say to him, "What are you talking about?" So I need to be updated. I need to know what's going on in the horizon. So as a CISO, you actually not a CISO, in security in general, this is a skill that you will learn all the time, and learning will not finish. Now for the certifications. Okay, so some people would say that certifications are not that important, or they are not reflecting the actual qualifications. What I'm saying is that there are 3 scenarios that certifications actually matters. The first scenario is that when you are a fresh graduate, because when I do a job posting about I need a fresh graduate, so I receive about 200 CVs, too many CVs. So if there is a CV which mentions that at least this candidate knows CCNA, so he's for me maybe the first round of filtration. So as a junior, you will need some certificates to prove that you acquire some sort of knowledge, because you will be filtered among hundreds of other CVs. If you don't have certifications, you need to fill your CV with something else, but you need to be different. It has to be something in your CV, because at least pass the first filtration, because in juniors, there will be too many CVs. The second scenario, which you will need a certification for, is the CISO. Why is that? Because CISO, most of the time, is reporting to someone who is not working in security, the CEO, the CRO. So he couldn't ask me about security questions. How can he judge that I am good at security? So the only thing is with experience and certifications. So certifications actually are very important to have to go up and have a CISO job, because you are interviewed by a non-security guy. The third scenario actually is for the system integrators or the service providers. These companies, this type of companies, they like to have certified people because they sell their services using these certificates. They say that we have 10 certified CISPs or 10 certified in science or 10 OSCP. They market with the number of certifications their team have. So these organizations actually they like certificates because they use it in marketing. Other than these three scenarios, you will don't have to have a certification. unless you have it for proving that you have this type of knowledge, but it's not required by the job itself. So as a CISO, these are the certifications that are common in the market, which if you get one of them or two, maybe it will be good for you to move to be a CISO. Most of these certifications are talking about security management, how to manage security. We're talking about the total security, like CISP, for example. It's a technical certificate, but it's talking about everything in security. So these certifications are not easy, but many people take them, and many CISOs have these certifications.
So if anyone just started on the career of security, he can pass directly to take one of these certifications. For example, CISP. Can I take CISP automatically after graduating from the university, or I have to take some prerequisite information like basic networking or any certificate equivalent to something in the basic level?
Okay, I'll tell you something. Actually, passing the exam of a certification is an art, actually. Some people pass certifications even without acquiring the whole knowledge of this certification. You may read CISP and you may be certified CISP, but to understand what's inside CISP, you need to see some scenarios, some incidents, some things in your job. That's why certificate like CISP, they require, I don't remember, maybe I think 5 years of experience. Why is that? Not because you have the knowledge, but because you have faced some scenarios while you are working, which when you read the CISP book, you will say, I remember this situation. So if you don't have this sort of experience, it's not about knowledge, it's about experience. If you don't have this kind of experience, for you, this will be something theoretical. What are all this? Are we really applying this in work, or this is just like the college? It's a theoretical curriculum. You will see it like this, and you will succeed. And actually, there is in CISP, exactly, there is something called associate. You can certify a CISP while you are a junior. You can be a CISP. It's called associate, but you can pass the exam. But if you go to an interview, if I found a junior which is fresh graduate and have CISP, and this is a good thing. But the first thing that came to my mind that this man is good at certifications, because what have you seen as experience to understand what the CISP is talking about? This is the same for the other certifications. So I would recommend that you go to this kind of certifications when you have some sort of experience. You faced some scenarios, you've seen incidents. This certifications will be very helpful in this case.
Yes, exactly. Totally agree with you. Thank you.
Now for the where to get knowledge. Actually, security knowledge is not organized. I always say this. Sorry, the people who follows me all the time tell me that this is the 100th time you say this. Security is not organized. It's a random science. There is no entity that is responsible for security in the world. So the knowledge is everywhere. So as a CISO, and based on the previous slides we're talking about, the resources or what are you reading is also everywhere. It's not structured reading. It's not, I don't go for example, reading the content of SANS 555. No, I don't do this. But sometimes I acquire targeted knowledge. This is what I always say to young guys. Don't go through the books and read the whole books, but you can do targeted learning. Like when you hear, for example, a session like this or any other session, and there is something in this session that's called, for example, Nmap. So go and read for Nmap. Learn this specific tool. What is this tool doing? And like this. So I'll tell you an example. I always say I like to see the videos of the conferences that is happening everywhere in the world. So I see someone who is using the developer tools in the browser. You know, every browser has something called developer tools. It's something very interesting. So when I see him, how he uses this for attacks and for troubleshooting and etc., I decided I should learn the browser developer tools. This is maybe a chapter in some book somewhere. This is not a structured learning. This is a targeted learning. I'm targeting to acquire this kind of knowledge because I see that it will be useful for me. So these are some of the resources I depend on to be updated. But first, you need to start with the basics. Without the basics, you will not understand what you are reading. The first days of my career, that I had a very serious challenge. I like reading, but when I read about security, I don't understand anything. What are you talking about? I don't understand the papers, the news. I don't understand it. So my objective was I need to understand what I read. So what are the skills required to be able to understand these articles and papers? And this is the basics, the concepts of security. These are the things that are not changed, that are applied to all security everywhere and every time. The concepts, the core values of security. My only recommendation is that this is organized in Security Plus. Security Plus is a certification from CompTIA, and the basics of security is very well organized in this. And actually, this is what I personally followed in the first of my career. I took Security Plus. This was the first certificate I took in security in my career. And actually, it was very, very useful for me to go through other security areas. You need also to be aware of the security standards. ISO, NIST, BCI, because security standards are the frameworks that we secure with. You can't assess something without a framework based on what you are saying that this is secure or not. You need some frameworks, standards. So you need to understand all these standards. Where are they applied? What are the controls in them? And these standards are frequently updated, by the way. Security news from many blogs or news websites, you need to be like the scenario I told you, the WannaCry scenario. You need to be aware of what's happening around you. You need to know about the incidents. This is actually also a question I always ask to juniors. What is the last thing you read in security news? And I see that if he is reading daily something, or he's just catching some big news. So there is a platform actually called Security for Startups. And there is a checklist. There is some sort of standard for startups, especially startups. It's a very good resource, actually. Vendor newsletters, because you need to also be aware of what our vendors are doing right now. What are the technologies, where the technology have reached now. So I do some subscriptions in many vendors. The big vendors, let's say IBM, VMware, F5, Cisco, they are not only security vendors, maybe the IT vendors, the big vendors. And you need to know what are they working on now, what technology, where is technology going. So this is very important. The conference presentations, this is actually something from, this is the tune, if I could say this in English, yeah. This is the tune actually, because I don't like to, even when I was in college, I was not that guy that read this book from the first page to the last page. I start with the questions. The first thing I read in any book is the questions, which is the last page. Or when I go for a certification or something, the first thing I read is the questions. Why is that? Because this keeps me focused on what these people are talking about. So this is the same. I see that conferences and people that are talking in conferences, they are saying their experience, real case scenarios they face in their own organizations. So this is very, very useful actually. This is like you gain the experience of the presenter. So I like to do this and see the conferences. And there are many conferences in the world in security. Actually, security especially is not like other IT areas. It has communities everywhere in the world. So it has many conferences, and the content is always updated. SANS reading room also, to be certified in SANS Gold, you need to issue a paper. So every day, or maybe every week, there will be 2 or 3 new papers published on SANS. These are papers related to something new or something, another one, do some effort to organize this knowledge in this, or tried something new, or used a tool in some different way. This is also very, very useful resource for being updated. Actually, that's all. I think I don't know if it was long or something, but I hope you enjoyed it, or it will have some value to you. So I'm available if there is any question.
Actually, it was so fast, but not too long for us. Let me pass a couple of questions before closing our webinar. If I'm preparing for a CISO interview, what is the ideal preparation? You mentioned a lot of certification frameworks, even some soft skills like using Excel sheets and this stuff. Do you need to add more tips for someone preparing for this job?
Actually, for the CISO interview, the first thing is that you need to wear a suit. You can't be casual. You need to look like a C-level and as a manager, because those are interviewing you will be the CEO or the CRO, something C. So the image actually it it makes a difference. The second thing is that I think they assess how they talk. Are you aggressive? Are you doing like you have to do this, or you have some, you are cool and you can convince other with the requirements. So they assess your communication, how you are communicating with them. In most of the CISO jobs, I'm not asked any technical questions at all. Some of them, I sit with the IT manager, for example. So maybe he can ask some technical questions from IT perspective. This is in some rare scenarios, but in most cases, this interview will not be technical. It will be about how do you manage, what is your school of management, managing security. Are you doing very technical, or are you focusing on the process and the policies, or are you focusing on the business? Are you blocking the business or helping the business? So these questions are the most questions that are asked to the CISO actually. With the image and reputation, also CISOs has some sort of reputation. No one will be happy if there is a, imagine that you are in interview and they say, oh, that you are working in SolarWinds, you have an incident. This is not good, actually. So a reputation also, it's a risky job. And the reputation actually matters a lot.
Okay, thank you very much. One question more, is the CISO role is applicable for all the fields like physical or logical jobs? I don't know if the physical or logical, but okay, you can explain.
Okay, I'll tell you. This is the scope of the CISO. Sometimes you are required to protect the information. At the CISOs, your job is to protect the information in the organization. So this information can be in the digital format or in the non-digital format, on papers. So if the information isn't there, this is critical information, but it is on paper. So is it in the scope of the CISO also to protect the information on papers, or the information if they are spoken? This is actually discussed with the CEO when you are hired as a CISO. What is my scope? Is my scope only for digital assets or for also information assets, whatever the format? Is physical security. Actually, in one of the organizations I was working in, the guy that manages the physical security and the cameras and the security guys, he has a dotted reporting to me. So I can ask him for doing something. So this was in my scope. So the scope is different from one place to another. And yes, it can include physical or paper or anything, as long as the objective is protecting the organization. There is something else, maybe this question raises, which is different backgrounds can be a CISO in the future. So if I started, for example, as a pen tester, will I be a CISO in the future? If I started as a SOC analyst when I young, can I be a CISO in the future? I think this question, it came to my mind now. Actually, the answer is yes. Actually, any background is useful for you to be a CISO in the future, as long as you will have these skills in your career, the communication skills, the personal skills that you read all the time, the skills that we have talked about. You can be, actually, it is better if you started working with something like the offensive. This is actually was my own background. I was left-minded and thinking bad all the time when I was young. So this is my own background, and I see it's very useful if you reached a CISO and you started with this background.
Okay, thank you very much for the clarification. Also, to summarize these points of question, I have to ask about my scope and wearing a very nice and expensive suit in the interview, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bahaa, for the great talk. That's added a lot of information to me and the community. And you shared a lot of tips and tricks with the people from your own career. And thank you everyone for attending and participating in our webinars. If you need to follow our upcoming webinars, please subscribe to YouTube channel, or to get more information about CyberTalents platform, please visit www.cybertalents.com.